We're recording. So,
Yeah, yes, sir.
what's up to the people real quick?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Let's just get it. Let's get it. I got a mic, got some better stuff going on.
Right,
But
right.
right now, we just want to welcome you to Casual Nerdom, a place where you can be nerdy without being an expert, a place where you can be real without being woke.
Now, what do we mean by that? If you watch Game of Thrones and you don't know who made it, that's okay. This is the place for you. If you're an MCU fan but might not know everything about the comics that it pulls from, this is the place for you. This is a judgment-free zone to discuss everything nerdy.
I'm Chris Bacon.
I'm Adrian Daniel, and welcome to Casual Nerdom. What's up,
Yes.
guys? How you feeling?
Hope y'all
Question.
feeling good. So, we technically we're recording this after the holiday. So we will go into, a little bit about that. We almost took a break, but we was like, we got some time to record
Right.
an episode.
Yes,
So
sir.
technically it's between Christmas and New Year's, that weird week, where you feel like nothing's happening, but everything's happening at the same time
Right.
because the day's changing over and the season is right in the middle of the BS,
Right.
A lot of people have been frozen. I've been seeing a lot of flights canceled. I did make a video on Christmas about that, flights
Right.
getting canceled.
Southwest wilding, bro. Southwest
Southwest
had the
tripping,
most.
bro. You know what I just found out about that? That they've been trying to make a hyperrail from like I think like between two states. And the only reason why it's not really off the ground is because Southwest is lobbying because it would take away some of their most expensive flights or something like that. And I'm like, so we don't have the reason why we don't have faster trains is because the airline industry is actively not trying to make that happen. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So then you can lose my luggage for a month. Like, all right, cool. Outside of that, we hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. If you did not have a wonderful holiday, listen, you're here with us now. It's all good. We have a new year to look forward to. You can set a resolution. I don't set resolutions. I just set goals and I go after the goals. If you have something you want to do, you don't want if you want to a lot of people like to set time frames around their goals. And I understand that's good for planning. But sometimes it can help you like not start,
Right.
not do the work, and also not celebrate when you've made progress. Some people never even start the plan. So this year, I just say like, we haven't done our theme stuff in a while, but we normally do it when we talk about specific shows. So we might bring that back. But this holiday season, we want to let you guys know that everything's gonna be cool. I said be thankful for what you do have. A lot of people don't have what you might have,
Right.
and that's something to think about as well. So, any words about that to the people?
Nah, man, I'm just grateful, man. I'm always just always it's always good to be grateful for the moment, because you could not be here. So,
Yep.
I know we starting off a little bit, hoping not coming off a little bit preachy, but we just want you guys to understand that, that even like the moment of being able to listen to this podcast and kind of relish in that moment is what makes life to be grateful for the fact that you can do it because there are people that can't. And it's always understanding that it's always going to like have you in a better space mentally. So, but
Right.
let's get into the episode. Let's get into the episode, guys.
Let's do it.
I what do we want to start? Do we want to start with Death Battle or do we want to start with that other thing I was talking about?
The other thing was way more interesting. We could do some death battles later, only because I want to talk about power scaling for a little bit and
Okay.
how people interpret so many death battles. Because I just technically can't even talk about Bleach. We'll talk about that too because Ichigo's involved with that. So we'll talk about the other one first.
This idea came up because I was having a conversation with one of my friends the other day, and we were talking about like growing up in our generation growing up in a society of where we experience both spectrums of technology and social media. We grew up in the spectrum of not having like any social media, not even having a smartphone. Like we didn't even
Right.
have smartphones. We had like the regular flip phones back then. We didn't even have
No
smartphones
color.
at that time. No
That's
color.
snake.
This the snake game, right? And to fast forward to now, we're in a super technology, social media driven era. And the differences. of that type of living and talk. I was talking to my friend, and they were talking about like and I told him, I was like, yo, he was young, he's younger than me, and I said, yo, um, you don't know what it was like to not have these things, like because you were
Mm.
born into it, like you were literally born into that, so you don't know what it's like to not have these things, but we do. And so that's why I think we balance it better because I think he was asking me like, oh, you don't be online a lot, and I said I'm online when I need to be. Um,
Mm.
I don't. When you grow up in a place of not having these things, you don't feel necessarily attached to it. It's like you feel like you got to do it, and it can be addictive. Yeah, for sure. The TikTok wormhole is ridiculous. You be sitting there and swiping, and you like look up, it's like, oh, it's like 2 hours went by.
Like, why
Um,
are you still scrolling? And you be like, stop talking to me like that.
right.
All right? Watch your
And
mouth.
but having that kind of, I think having that kind of balance with with technology and social media is important because I feel like people can become way too wrapped up in it, where
Yeah.
it's dictating your life, it's dictating how you move, it's dictating how you feel about yourself. And I think that, I think that can be a little bit dangerous, I was thinking about I was talking to um our mother about the dangers of social media and the effects it has on the mental space of people and why suicide rates are so high.
Mm.
And we were talking about saying I was saying to her, I was like, technology and social media is such a huge tool. Like honestly, it created so many platforms, so many spaces for people that didn't have a space before to fit into society, I guess, to now be able to make a living, to be able to do what they love. I mean, listen, if I didn't have social media, I would not have been able to probably pursue my music career the way I'm doing it now. I probably would have never probably went off the ground. You had to go through the whole signing to a label and going straight to radio, doing radio and all that stuff. It was like that didn't always work for everybody. And so now, social media gives you a level playing field.
Mm.
But the problem with it is the comparison to life. And because you have access to people all over the world, you know, you are seeing what people are posting every day or every week, and you start comparing your life to that. That is what is dangerous to me
Right.
because it's like and it's very easy to fall into that because we do it. We were already doing it post social media. You know what I'm saying? We were already doing it. We were already like, oh, you go to like, how you go to like the Thanksgiving dinner and you around the family and everybody wants to start talking about, oh, well, so and so works for this and so does this and
Mm-hmm.
so has this and they about to get married. We already kind of comparing our lives when we do that anyway, right? So, but now it's like hyper, like it's like now you can't really escape it.
Yeah, it's times
Now
100 now.
that was like, oh, that was just like one time a year you had to go deal with that. Now you're dealing with it every day.
Right.
Every time you log on your phone, every time you see something, every time you go on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, most majority of people are comparing their lives to the people that they see,
And they
right?
don't want to admit it.
They don't want to admit it.
They don't want to admit it. Like there are so many people who um they cannot separate themselves from the stuff that they consume. And that's something that a lot of the new generation really doesn't get a handle on because they've always had social media and or technology.
Right.
When you like, I was talking the other day, I'm like, man, I miss playing jacks, bro. Like, no one plays jacks anymore. You go to a kid, I'm like, what the hell is that? They was always like, it was probably something. And like, jacks is a simple game with a ball and a couple pieces on the ground, bro. Like, it's
Right.
nothing crazy. Like, even physical card games, not really played anymore. I'll talk about Pacino. The fact that like only certain people know what that game is, and people don't know that bingo came from Pacino.
Right.
And we know these games really well. Even like learning card games or chess. Chess only got popular again due to the King's Gambit TV show. You know, there are still competitions around the world, of course, but it was very niche. Um, and this hyper consumption of, I would say, other people's lifestyles.
Right.
You know, I had a conversation with someone the other day as well, and I said, you know, we see a lot when we were kids. We didn't see fashion designers on TV. You wouldn't see the people making the clothes unless they were like super high fashion, and even
Right.
then, you might not have saw their face unless you were looking them up or your
Right.
parents are into that. Same thing with comic books. Like, unless your parents are into that, they actively weren't really trying to rock with you into that interest. A lot of parents just didn't let you do things that they didn't understand. And
Right.
because technology was so new, all of it was being misunderstood. And
Right.
nowadays, it just gets worse because now like every explore page is just showing you like just these hyper realistic images of people who don't even look like real people, but there's so
Right.
many of them that people get convinced like that's how I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be. FOMO has gotten so bad, even in our generation. People
Right.
feel like they're missing out on something because they're seeing so much. And I'm like, nah, like our parents didn't always feel like that unless they like just didn't decide to pursue a career. But
It's
we
it's
feel
it,
like we could have did 5 things in 5 years, and
right.
that's not
It destroys the understanding of what living was.
right.
So I think I think that,
Finding
like I
that for
said,
yourself.
like let me be clear because I want to be very clear in what I'm saying. I don't think that social media. I would never like to not have social media, to be quite honest with you. Like now that we have it, bro, I don't ever want to go back to not having it. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Um, because like I said, it levels the playing field for people. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, successful businesses, successful like streamers, TikTokers, Instagram, like, musicians, artists, uh, fashion designers, whatever it was that created their businesses, real estate, whatever, that thrive because of social media. Right.
Right.
So I never want to, not even just from that perspective, even from a political and historical perspective, being able to see what's going on in other countries and, like, injustices or genocides, and be able to like call people out on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so much of like a lot of what happened with, George Floyd and that moment, even though we have been talking about it for the years, decades, and dealing with it, social media was able to now take it and put it in a space where people can see it, and what you couldn't escape it. It was in your face all the time, so you can't deny it, can't run away from it. You have to look at it. So because of those types of things, yes, that's a good thing, but the dangers of it is it's so heavy because we live in a world today, and sometimes I go down the wormhole of social media. I might scroll and look at things. I tend to not try to, for the most part, or I tend to only follow people that kind of inspire me, or like, give me positive um visual or positive information. But sometimes I scroll on things, and like, I came across a post where somebody was downplaying somebody that had a regular, well, not regular, but a 9 to 5 job.
Mm.
They were downplaying them and saying that I could never be with a guy that has a 9 to 5 job. And I was like, that's fine. You don't have to be with that. I mean, you could be whatever you want to be with. But I don't think that at the same time we should downplay someone that has a 9 to 5 job. You
That's
know,
the problem.
I don't think that like I don't think that like because like the reality is everybody is not meant to be a leader. That's just I just want people to understand that.
Right.
Everybody is not meant to be a YouTuber or a Twitcher or whatever it is that you want to do.
An influencer, a teacher.
Everybody's not meant to be an artist. Everybody's not meant to do these things, because when you have that, what you have is called an influx, right? And so because of the influx, now you have to like comb through all of the bad shit
Right.
of people that honestly should not be doing these things, because they're just not good at it. But you have to comb through all of that to get to the actual stuff that's good. And the problem with that is like most people don't want to comb through.
Right. Right.
They want it
They'll
to
take
kind of
the
just be
first,
they take
like
the first thing that they
first
see.
page of Google,
Right.
like they don't
They're
go
not
to
going through. They're not going through it. Shit. We used to be like that in fucking college. I mean, you had to do a report and you like whatever you Google first, whatever was the first thing up there, that was you use as your reference. It was like people didn't want to comb through. It's like, so it creates you know, it creates that kind of situation where that makes it harder for people that are actually passionate and care about their craft or whatever that they're doing to want to see it grow. And then you have to, like I said, go back to the idea of people comparing their lives. So journey, and I had this conversation with artists all the time, you know, someone will look at another artist, or they'll look at me and they'll say, oh, they'll see like what I'm doing, and they'll be like, oh, I want that, and then they'll feel like because they don't have that, that they're not doing anything. But what they're not seeing is that I've been doing this for 10, 11 years, 12 years, and not seeing that. It's like, because at that time you didn't have social media to really put that in front of you like that. I mean, it was around, but we had like what MySpace and Facebook at that time. I don't think Instagram even existed at that point. And
what point?
when I started music, I don't think Instagram didn't exist. Twitter existed, I think, at that time.
Twitter, yeah, Twitter existed and
But
Facebook.
but
That was
Instagram
really it. Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok didn't exist. You had, I think, maybe Vine.
I think Vine. I don't even think Vine
Yeah.
was popping when we started that.
No,
Like
nah.
that was
And
like a
then
decade.
yeah. And Snapchat came like I want to
Way
say
after.
like 4 years after.
Hmm. And it wasn't even what it is now. Like now they have like entire articles and magazine spreads and YouTube channels have made their, but like back then it was really just send pictures to people.
Being a YouTuber back then
Was
was
wildly
look
different. Like people
was
don't
wildly
understand.
different. They don't like was wildly different. And so like the people that you see successful now, they started their channels from like 2009, like 2008. They've been doing that for almost a decade.
Like not
You know?
everyone that's been doing it has been doing it the whole time. Some people have to take
Right,
a break, come back, but like they have that background experience. Like that's
right.
why even with podcasts, we talked about this. Certain people like it's not my first podcast. It's not your first time you've been on. You've been on talk shows. You've been on,
Mm,
so like this you just build the skills up over time. And I tell people that's one thing that the kids sometimes don't understand, transferable skills. Like what you're doing doesn't have to be what you're going to be. Like you can take these skills and do something totally different. That's what
mm,
our generation had to do because we realized that like our we were told go get a job at the city or like do this one other thing. And it was just like because remember our generation was told like, well, we don't want y'all to go into sports. Like that's what everybody does. So, like
right,
try to be doctor, lawyer, whatever else. Like so it was
right.
just like academic focused. And the kids now, like I'm
Being
pretty sure like if I
being
have
a
kids, I'm
gamer
not
was
gonna
never being a gamer was
it
never
was never a profession.
it was
Even
never a
and on top of
profession.
that, okay, when you watch South Park, right? I tell people like
Mm,
the fat gamer guy sitting at the computer, that was the image of a gamer for a good 20 to 30 years.
yeah,
Even
right,
though kids are buying the games and everything, when you thought about an adult gamer, you thought about that guy.
right.
So
And
it's changed
and
a lot.
like I said, because we see, and I said, I think we live slightly different lives, but I guess, but not to act like our generation is not able to succumb to these things, because I want to talk about, there are a lot of people that are around our age, that have committed suicide
Yep.
because of these things and the pressure. There's a pressure that people feel, and I wholeheartedly believe that that pressure comes from social media. I wholeheartedly believe it because it's one thing where it's one thing where you're living your life and you're dealing with like life shit and just getting through life. It's another thing when you log online. It's another thing when you log online or you go online and or you meet people in the world, in the actual world, that now determine your value based on social media, or based on your influence or based on what you're doing or showing, right? And these ideas where people feel like, like I said, I saw some video where this girl was like, she was like, oh, um, you know, dudes got to make, $250,000 a year. I was like, what guy's making that? You know, I'm like, the rarity of the guy that makes that is rare. That's like a
Mm,
guy saying that, that's like all guys saying that they want a woman that is a certain height, certain body frame, book smart, whatever, it's like come on, like it's rare. It's not always, you're not going to always check all those things off, but men and women are now dictating their lives based on the things that they're being exposed to.
right.
But unfortunately, it's not, the reality aspect is being removed from it, because what people also don't understand is that what you see on social media is not people's actual reality.
No, it's not.
It's not their everyday. You're getting a glimpse of a moment, right? I know, how many girls I know that literally sit there, will go on a vacation and then post different outfits from that vacation all throughout the year
Yep.
and act like they're still on vacation.
Yep. And you're
Oh, they've
wondering,
been
like,
on.
dang,
Oh,
how
they've
these
been on.
retail workers go on a vacation
Are
eight
they
times a
are
year?
they
You
been on
know?
vacation every week, like 8 times a year? Is like, that's not realistic. And I just want people to understand, like, it's not realistic for most people. I know a lot of people that have money. I know a lot of rich people. I do. And they don't do that shit.
They don't.
Like it's funny. You look at an artist, right? Let's look at other artists. Do you know when an artist goes on a vacation? You know when they decide to go on a vacation? After their tour. So they'll put out an album, they'll do all the circuit stuff, the performances, they'll do the blah blah blah, then they'll tour, right? And then after the tour, either they're gonna follow another album or they'll take a small vacation. That's
Right.
when they do it. So that means you have to understand. And how long does that process normally take? Talking about 2 years of your life,
Right.
2 years of your life to then end up deciding I want to go on a vacation. And that's most people. Like, let's not include Drake in that, because he's Drake. Let's not include him in
He's
that.
made his life on vacation at this point.
All right. Let's not include people that have been grinding it out. Because, like I said, once again, like,
But
Drake was
that's
not
still
doing that. He
that
was not doing
longevity.
that in the beginning of his career. I guess I want people to
Exactly.
understand something. Like, it's like these things that you're seeing that people do now, they're doing it because they've worked a long period of time. So now they can afford the leisure of that and to like relax more. People that live their lives now, they come on these platforms, they come on social media, they do these things, they want to be an Instagram influencer, model, OnlyFans, whatever. And they think like, hey, I'm supposed to live this life right now.
Right.
And it's like, and they don't think about what happens 10 years, 20 years from now. They don't think about that. Like, that's not even a factor into their mind, right? And you do all this stuff, you live in this life. Sure, you know how many artists I know that don't even have life insurance, bro?
Mm,
Like health insurance, 401k. Like,
no
you don't think
backup.
about it because like you're young. You're like, I'm young, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing my thing. Yeah, cool. But you know, when you go to the hospital, I remember when we got our mother's health insurance, and I go to the hospital and you like, you don't got no insurance, and they hit you with that insurance, that bill, you like, damn. It's like, oh, now I gotta go find insurance now. Now I gotta go do the adulting thing. And you look at yourself like, I'm like, I don't know what my life's gonna be in 40 years. I don't know what my life is gonna be at 45, at 50 or 55. I don't know. I hope that it's going to be what I want it to be by when I'm working towards, but I don't know. And being able to kind of look in that space of saying, I want to be able to have my life here is more of a consistent kind of commitment. And I think that, like I said, go back to what I was originally saying with social media. Social media removes the idea of reality based thinking. I
Right.
think that it creates a Disney effect.
Mm.
It creates a Disney effect. It's like, you talk to people, you see these people, and then like people like think my life has to be like this, and it's like you don't know what is required for that.
You could
You
say that
don't
for our
know.
generation too.
You
I,
like
I I would call it the Disney effect or the Notebook effect.
right,
Like people glorify moments and
right,
try to make that their entire existence. And it's like, no, to get those moments, you gotta do a lot of work for that. That's why those moments are so special. I
Mm-hmm.
made a video about this the other day about peace. Like you see someone like a video online, a woman walking around her apartment, or a dude, grinding out, having a solo lifestyle, or the get ready with me videos. Like this look into people's personal lives, right? Isn't even real either. It's not like you're really seeing people on their worst days. Um, and then on top of that, another question like, do you want to see people in their worst days? Do you want to go on the internet and see a bunch of people crying about their personal issues when
Yeah.
you really, and then the first thing was like, dang, should you really be telling us this? We're the
Mm-hmm.
internet. Like, and that's
Right.
something that we would say at our age, like, are you sure you should be putting this on the internet? Because the internet does not delete stuff. Things stay on the internet forever. And a
And
lot of
there's a
people forget that.
and there's a there's a I hope I'm not saying this word wrong. Desensitization. I don't know if that's a word or not. I know you become desensitized
Yeah.
by being on social media. It's
Yep.
like because a person is not right here and you're looking through a screen, there's not some most of the time there's not an emotional response to um what someone's going through. You're just like, yo, bro, you're looking down bad or like whatever. Like most people don't care. Most people don't care. You go in there, they're gonna just use it against you and make fun of you. How many
Right.
times people make fun of Tyrese crying on, Tyrese, that meme of Tyrese crying about his baby mama drama? That's been used so goddamn much on social
Right.
media.
It's just
Like he
like
was having a real breakdown.
breakdown.
And like, but people were like using this as like a meme to this day. To this day, is still used, and
To this day.
we don't know the effect, right? We don't know the effect it had on him. It was like damn. I really thought like I'm gonna come and like human beings are going to emotionally understand what I'm going through, and they was just like, nah. They
It was
was
like,
like,
nope.
nope.
Like, mind you, that only happened because he was having a whole beef with the Fast and Furious people and all that. So people just
Right,
rolled that stuff, rolled their uncaringness about that situation into not caring about his personal struggle. And also, that also happened with Terry Crews. That also happened with
right.
Azariah Banks. It also happened with a lot of
Kevin
people.
Hart. Listen, Kevin
Kevin
Hart.
Hart.
Kevin Hart spoke about the fact that he said like he always likes to share everything that's going on in his life, but then realized like, hey, me sharing all that gave people an opinion. It gave people an opinion on your life, how you live your life, your family's like how they are, how your wife is, how your kids are. Everybody had an opinion on it, and then that started to become a thing where like he couldn't even like really just, could you imagine what it feels like to kind of feel like you had to like walk on this tightrope of like that? I feel like that's what Michael Jackson went through. You have to walk on this tightrope of like
Celebrityism is very
how
constricting.
people expect you to live your life and be, and it's like,
Like,
damn, and at the moment you try to be yourself, it's like, oh my god, like what?
oh, this is perfect.
Cancel.
Okay. This is perfect. You reminded me of something I said last year. I had this whole video about it. And I was like, the way that we treat celebrities and celebrityism as more than people with jobs
Yo,
can get
yeah,
astounding.
right.
Like it's like, oh, Adrian, you don't deserve to work because you got into a yelling match with your girlfriend at a restaurant and someone got it on video. So now you shouldn't be allowed to get more work. Like, imagine going to an actor. You shouldn't do any more movies because you and your girlfriend had broke up and we think that you did something bad, or you cheated on your man, and so now you shouldn't make any more albums. You shouldn't get to host this TV show. Your appearances should be canceled. Like, there there are certain things that are worth cancellations, like when, like, I'm glad that, not glad, I don't want no one to lose money like that, but the whole you ain't even know it. Remember that whole thing with the song? And I put a pill in her drink and she didn't even know, and that lyric became
Oh
very
yeah, yeah.
problematic later on, and it caused Rick Ross to lose endorsement deals.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, that is within the realm, to me, like an applicable time to act on something like that. But if
Right.
someone has like a personal situation that goes on that has nothing to do with their actual work, then why are we stepping in and saying, like, imagine if your boss called you, imagine me working in retail, and my boss calls me and says, hey, I heard that you and your brother got into an argument, so don't come in for 2 weeks. Matter of fact, don't come in at all. You'd be like, whoa,
Well,
how does that
right.
translate to my job? And that's
Right.
what we do to celebrities. Be like, well, you know, you're an actor. You're an actor. This happened, but we also think you shouldn't work anymore. And I'm like,
Not just. Because what's celebrity culture now to me is now even Instagram influencers.
everybody.
Influencers are included in
Influencers are
celebrity
celebrities to
culture.
me. They're just
Yeah.
D and C. They're like D and F celebrities to me.
All
You
right.
know, because even when you're trying to come up, like imagine, like I talk about a lot of stuff in it, but I don't talk about everything because unfortunately, I don't want to go viral. That's another thing I would say about generation. They want to go viral for almost anything. Their
Anything.
shame levels are not as high as ours is because we understand that something that we do will always stick with us. It will
Right.
always come back up later. People have been canceled from stuff from 15 years ago.
Right.
Like, and it will happen more for people of color more than anybody else. But no one's exempt from this
Right.
situation.
I go. I listen. You know, Chris. You know what? Some of the things that's happened to me that I could speak on. That yeah, I could probably go viral for this because if I speak on it, it's gonna be like, yo, this really happened. Like,
Right.
yeah. But I never want my story to be some some viral moment. I want my story to be about what you know I do, what I contribute. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be about some drama or some bullshit. I never wanted my life to be that. You know,
Right.
I was
Something
like, I
that I
don't.
think Trevor Noah said was like, you don't want your life to be defined by a moment. Like that's not,
Right,
I don't even think that's even fair, you know,
right,
because even if you wanted your life to be defined by a moment, like I was crap my whole life, but I did this one cool thing. You don't
right,
get to choose that.
right.
You don't get to choose that.
You know, and
Um,
I think that like I said, it creates this kind of space where, and I'm not sure why it does, um, but it creates this kind of space where people are unable to kind of one grasp their head around the fact that this is not real.
right.
It's not like I talk to so many people and they say like, yo, I talked to this one person that was canceled, and he said, bro, when I go outside, like nobody's coming up to me talking about that. Like nobody's like, yo, you said so and so on a stream or whatever on a song. What no one's coming up to me and talking like everyone's like, hey, yo, what's
When
up?
Dave Chappelle said that Twitter is not real, the internet wasn't real. I think it said Twitter, but I'm saying the internet and social media isn't real, and largely because like even like all of this men women debate. I'm like half the time when you go outside, all these intelligent takes go out the window. Let's keep it a buck. You're not going to hear these video essays on the street corner. What you're going to hear is the
Right,
generic stuff that you're trying to fight against. That's just what it is. The internet is not even a microcosm of the real world. It's just its own little universe where people try to be a different version of themselves, and people keep forgetting that because they've grown up with them the entire time. See,
right,
even like, you don't want to believe that everything on there is not real, but it's like you have kids reviewing toys. Do you think that's all they do? They have to go to
right.
school. Like, unfortunately, you got to be able to, and everyone doesn't have a social media brain either. So some people are really like, they don't know what to not put on the internet. They don't know when to delete videos.
You know,
Or,
the amount of people I see telling on themselves on a regular basis honestly irritates the crap
yo,
out of me. Like
it's
because
crazy.
because me and you, we come from that neighborhood, we growing up in that time where it was like, we seen shit, we've been around, done shit that wasn't, necessarily, but you ain't telling yourself, you ain't just gonna put that online, like, and you be looking at like, yo, you really about to just go and share that online? Like, damn, like you really don't care about your life. That's how I be looking at, because it don't nothing on the internet get deleted. You know what I mean? It stay forever. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
So,
like, they gonna mess around and pass a bill and go pull these records up, and then
you
they're
know,
like, yeah, we heard about that.
the amount of listen, the amount of rappers, the amount of like people that go and like show how much money they make and how much money they got, and I'm like, people be clocking you, man.
Yep,
Listen, me, and like us getting robbed. Remember we got robbed by like people that
yep,
we thought was our friends at like 12. We was 12
yep,
years old. You know
yep,
what I mean? And like just because we showed people what we had, like
yep.
you know what I mean, like and it's like, and we didn't even have a lot, you know what I mean? And but people, so it's like, if you could you imagine, and that's on a small scale. Could you imagine you over here showing off millions of dollars worth of stuff, and people just looking, they just looking at you like, yeah, I'm
Right. And
They
people like, do
waiting.
you think that people are not watching influence? You think people are not
Right.
watching you? People are watching you.
You think people aren't going to tax you? You don't think people are going to be like, oh, normally, listen, I know this for a fact. I know for a fact when people know how much money you make, they immediately start upping the price on what they're going to charge you. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And when they know, when they see you with certain things, they see you, they be like, oh, okay, yeah, you make, all right, so this is what the price going to be. It's like normally the price would be this, but because it's you, the price is going to be this. And it's like, sometimes I just look at I look at all those things. I look at like I don't even want to get into the whole relationship stuff and people talking about
Nah.
that because I anytime I look at that, I'll be like, bro.
Because we do it every 6 months. It's the same conversation. And on
Just
top of that, now, talk about not real. People are just making up skits now. These
yeah,
fake date scenarios, these
yeah,
fake whatever. And I'm
yeah.
like, it's not even the couple be
This is this,
happy, bro.
this to trigger people. This to trigger
Right.
people.
I'm
That's what
like,
it is.
what is the genuine point of you, a happy couple, portraying a fake ass situation to prove that to out of conversation about
Right.
what?
Just to put in people's mind that this is a thing, and now people really start to believe it and walk into
And then
situations
instead
with
of
that
like it
mentality.
being like a very minimal situation and think, oh, all people really be like that. I'm like, you're not gonna walk outside today and meet someone who's gonna do the exact same thing. But
Right.
also, you might. It's just
Right.
it's not that it's not possible. It's just that like don't make that your reality. Like
Right.
everyone's not like people. One say ask some older person like, what's one thing you want to share? And I think Trevor Noah was just saying like people the general public are nicer than you might think. The internet will have you think that people just want to be mean and nasty. No, people are buns. People are jabronis. People are cowards because they will
Right.
go online and say these things. They will never
Right.
say these things in front of you. They'll go outside and be nice. And if anything, when they see you, if you're a good person and he's not, they can't even be mean towards you. I go through this all the time at work. People come in all mad
Oh,
and all that.
listen. Yeah, you know me. You know how I went through it. Someone said some wild crap. I remember, you remember like, do you remember when I was dating my ex and her ex-boyfriend said some wild ass shit and we pulled up on him at the we
Yeah, bro. Like even
ain't that dude? And I was like, that is him. And I went right up to him and
like
he was
even
like,
to this day,
nah.
I'm just
He
like,
was like,
bro, like
nah, you're not with none of that. I was like,
like loyalty ain't really a thing in a younger generation either. Like they will just rob their closest friends. Like our generation,
yeah,
we was grimy, but like we kind of knew that. But their generation be like really acting like they're your besties and like turn around like that Shaquilla Robinson. Like just
yeah.
that's wild. That's
Yeah.
wild. On top of
Listen,
traveling around like that with a bunch of people who you don't. That's another thing. People vacation and people who you don't really know that well. I would
yeah.
never like.
I think the only reason I speak about this stuff, and I never like, I never want to sound like, oh, our generation, I never want to sound like that. But I look at these things and I look at like the effect it is having on,
Right.
and I'm looking at like, yo, depression is up, suicide is up, and I'm like, damn, like, hey man, like, if you're not careful, you're gonna like, succumb to this shit. And you don't want people to succumb to this, fictional shit. It's like, man, like, I talk to when I every time I have conversations with, men or women about the landscape of life, I'm like, guys, like that is not reality for most people. I'm like, it's not. Like, stop walking around thinking that everyone is like this because you don't realize that you're walking in with a preconceived notion of people. And then
Mm-hmm.
your behavior is now exhibiting that. And so now people are being defensive,
And then
right?
that's what leads to being
And
prejudiced.
and that leads to what being prejudiced. Like it's like you don't understand that this stuff is influencing the way that you think. And if it's influencing the way that you think and you walk around like everything is like this, like I'm like people that's what it is. It's entitlement.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a sense of entitlement, not
The
just
world
in
owes
work,
them something.
like not just in work, but just all around the world owes you something. And the world has never been that way. It's never been that way for no one. Everything that you have to earn. You have to walk into. There is no situation that exists. You know, there is nothing that you look at and conceive as successful that was given, right? You had to earn it. And when I say that, I look at all the people I look up to, like Pharrell, Will Smith, Kendrick, you know, um, Kanye at a time. there is no shortcut. Beyonce, there's no shortcut to that.
All right.
It's like you can have instant success, right? People say that, some people have instant success, but keeping success for 10 years, 12 years, 20
That's not
years,
a fluke.
that's not a fluke. That is like that is hard work and understanding what needs to be done, and looking at life and then being able to navigate your way through it, through technology, through what people are going to say, through like I tell people all the time, people ask me like, "Your agent, do you ever like care about what people say about you on the internet?" I was like, "Bro, I don't give a bro, I could give a shit." I was like, "Bro, nobody says that to me in my face. Nobody." I look at that shit. Most of the time, I joke back. I'm like, "Oh, word, yeah, man. I guess I am trash." I'm like, you know, I don't, I don't ever take that to
If
heart
anything,
because
I'd
it's
be more
like,
mad about it than you be.
yeah, like
I'd be like,
people,
you better, yo,
right?
stop playing, grow
Like
up.
y'all come and tell me this. I'd be like, bro, I really don't care. Like,
Do
it's
kids
like,
even study
you
Langston
know,
Hughes anymore in schools? Because we all know life ain't no crystal stair as a poem.
right.
I looked it up
Like
just now. I'm just like,
you
you
look at
understood that as a kid that like this
right,
is about to be some BS, bro.
right. And you look at like what we've been through in our lives, like danger, right? Like things that were dangerous where our lives were in jeopardy. And we look at this stuff now, I'm like, man, why I'm
It's
supposed to be scared about
manufactured.
this? It's like, bro, like this don't scare me. I was like, I was like, like so that's why I have no reservations in being me or disconnecting from something. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Because I like I know me. I know what I've been through and I know where I'm going. So I don't have to worry about like what people can perceive of me. You know, I told Mo, my best friend, I said, for the first time this year was the first time in my oh, actually technically last year was the first time in my life where I took a vacation just to take a vacation, not for work, not for anything. And that's it. It took me 10 years of my life, 10 years of my working life to get to that point. 10 years. And even then, I felt bad about it. It's like, even then I was like, I still got more work to do. I don't know if I can really be enjoying myself the way I want to now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I still have so much to do. I still have so much I have to accomplish. I haven't done everything yet. You know what I mean? Because those sacrifices, no one talks about it. Well, there are people that talk about it. Most people don't, most people don't listen.
They don't,
That's
right,
that sacrifice to have success, to have, or what is, perceived as success, that sacrifice doesn't stop on any level. It doesn't matter if you're Jay-Z, it doesn't matter if you just started yesterday. That sacrifice is always going to be there. You're always going to have to take risks. You're always going to be in a situation that you might be a little bit down. You might be going through a hard time. You might have a low moment. You're going to have a lot of low moments at every
right.
level. Damn, listen, Kevin Hart is the most successful comedian in the world, but he went through a whole year dealing with like low moments. Like
Yep.
his dream being taken away from him by hosting an Oscar, that got taken away from him. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna go through a lot of low moments. That ain't gonna go away at any level you get to. J. Cole said that. He said, like, yo, he thought that once you get all the money and the cars and the women and the clear, you're gonna feel like, all right, I'm good, I'm straight. I don't got nothing else to worry about. I'm gonna be fine. He said he got there. He said that feeling did not go away.
Yep.
It didn't go away. It didn't solve anything.
I want to talk
So
about two things.
yeah, go ahead.
One is the finesse culture, something that when you were talking, that reminded me of something I talked about before. That this, I don't like entertainment news. You know this
Yeah.
because entertainment news specifically is about what you're doing when you're not making music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you're
Yeah.
not working, people trying to find out what your personal life is about. That's their goal. And the money has been pumped into that. And even for influencers, like now you go on like what was it, E Hollywood or whatever, influencer, they talk about influencer news on there too. You get caught up in a scandal,
Right.
you gonna be on there. The tabloids, you're gonna be on there. And that's all their job is, to find out what people are doing when they're not being the version of themselves that's the curated version. So that's why it's like the internet is still full, like TV and media is still full of the imperfections. But is making money off of that stuff. The internet is just monetizing the perfection. Reality is monetizing the imperfection. If you think about like reality TV, it's the imperfection. It looks perfect, but we know it's not perfect because they pick people on purpose that get into these altercations. And um people who understand that are the ones that get into it. You know, like an influencer might get onto those shows and not really know how to play the game necessarily. But the finesse culture is I sneak backstage to a concert and I film the entire thing, throw
Mhm.
my phone on stage. The artist picks it up and takes a picture, and then an article is written about me about that escapade, and I face no no consequences of that action about me clearly breaking the law. Or
Right.
you sneaking into a theater, you get breaking a gate down to get back way. You finesse like the finesse culture to get backstage patches. Like it's been glorified to the point where everyone thinks that's how you're supposed to do stuff.
Mm.
Like, how many shows have we had where people just refused to buy the tickets the proper way and kept trying to contact us and other people, like because they just don't want to do it. They
It
think
don't
that
and
they're
it don't go
above
away. It don't
entitlement.
go away at
They
any level
think that
because
they're above it.
Tyler Creator talked about that. I
Yep, it still
remember he went
happens.
on Twitter at his level, it still was happening.
Yep,
And he had to like explain, he's like, guys, you gotta understand, these tickets ain't free. I have to pay for this. You know what I'm saying? So you're basically saying to me that what I do is not worth your money. Even if I'm performing at Madison Square Garden, it's not worth you paying a ticket.
right,
That's insane that it happens even at that level. It doesn't matter. And so it's like, I don't know, man. It's you know, you know, I know we're going off on a tangent here, but I feel like sometimes I wonder to myself, where is the drawback? Where's the line of saying, okay, we have to kind of get back to this point, but I think we might be going too far. We might be
right.
doing a little bit too much with
Like
um with the
when
consumption of life. Cause I'm gonna tell you right now, like celebrity culture and all of that culture, for it to take up so much of people's lives is insane to me. Like I'm gonna speak I'm gonna tread lightly on speaking on this, but that whole like Megan Thee Stallion Tory Lanez case, bro, if it felt like everywhere I went, everyone wanted to talk about this case,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and
Mm-mm.
for me, and I said I was like, hey man, I just hope justice is served. That's it. At the end of the day, I had to like be real with people. I'm like, yo, man, I was actually in court, like a month ago, and watching people go through their court shit, and nobody gave a damn. Nobody gave
Mm-hmm.
a damn about any of this. No one was like, "Oh man, like, so what's going on? Like, wow, that really happened? Oh my god!" Like nobody gave a shit. Nobody gives a shit. And to be quite clear, on the other side of that, they don't give a shit either. They don't
They
give a
don't.
shit about. They don't give it. If you had to go to court tomorrow, they're not gonna be like, "Oh my god!" Like, I hope you get justice. They probably not even gonna know who you are. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Like, and I have to like this. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. The truth of the matter is, you hope that that situation works out in a good way for whoever is the person that deserves justice, because you don't know it's a case or whatever. And and that situation, I mean, it's clearly Megan, but um, you look at that and you say, I hope that works out. I hope, like, it's like that's all you can really do. Is like, what do you
Right. But instead,
like
social media
unless
has people feeling
unless
like, I hope
unless
that
you
this happens. I hope that
unless
that
you about to
happens.
pull up with the strap and let it be, and enact your own justice on somebody, sit your ass down and go about your day. This is
Like there
not,
are some people that talk about this, and I'm really trying to like they when they start asking random people about stuff, like
and that
I ain't
goes
gonna name no
and that goes
names
for both sides, because I have to
because,
be
like I said,
honest.
entertainment news. Why are
I
you
have to
going
be
to these
honest.
people and
I have
asking
to
them
be
these
honest.
questions?
The amount of niggas that said some of the most dumbest shit that
Dumbest
nobody asked you
shit.
for. I'm like, yo, bro, just say you hate women, my nigga. Like, just say, yo, bro, just say you hate women, because nobody asked you. Nobody asked you your opinion on this. Nobody asked at all.
Like
Nobody was like,
men
hey,
really got to start
what's
doing
your
some deep
opinion?
dives into themselves, bro.
Bro,
Like
no, like, bro, I had to tell niggas all the time, bro.
I would just muting stuff
Stop
on Twitter.
talking about women's shit online, bro. That unless they come to you and ask you, don't say shit. Don't say shit.
You don't have an
You don't
opinion.
have an opinion.
Like
Like, like, And I get
Or
it.
rather be
Everybody,
prepared that people are gonna, no matter what you, and I made a video about that, no matter what you say, you could be right. Someone's gonna tell you you're wrong. Please
right?
understand this.
And
The
that
internet is full of, I so pick anything that you believe in
doesn't
the
matter.
world. Someone's gonna believe the opposite, and they
Listen,
will find you and let you know.
and you could come with the facts. You can come with straight. You
They
could
be like,
come
I
with.
don't
You
care.
could come. You could
Well,
come
I
with
feel
video.
like
You could come with video recording of whatever's happening that you're talking
wasn't
about, that
me.
you're defending, and they're gonna be like, "Nah, did you see like that might have been doctored?" Like, all right, come on, like you know what I'm saying?
Because
It's like
social, but think about it. Social
the
media,
media,
like technology, is like everything that deals with that. Like, so people like to use it to justify their BS. Like, so you could have changed the video. Remember how long people thought the Mulan was fake?
oh yeah,
And I'm like, we don't have technology like that back then. We can prove it. Like, but we would talk Christopher Columbus, and that was a whole bunch of BS.
right,
Like, people
right.
gotta start just thinking more critically. Like, understand that even before the
Well,
internet, we were still getting
I'm
false information.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Critical thinking, I think, went out the window
It's
when
kind of dead.
when social media came. I think it social media also created group thinking.
I didn't know that people look for things on TikTok until last week. I didn't know
Well,
that people use TikTok as a search engine.
let me not say that, because that's a weird, that's a actually a incorrect statement to say that social
The
media.
group think has shifted.
Group thinking was always around,
Yeah.
since it was always around, but it has shifted because now social media pressures you more into
Yep.
group thinking. It's like, because group thinking was like, oh, you're around like a couple, people, 10 people, and they be like, oh, try to convince you of that. But now it's like a million, 100 million people are all like being influenced and forced to think
Like,
the
think
same
about the
way.
body modification industry. Like, just the
Right,
fact that it got popular is why it's popular now. Like, it's not even
right.
like more people needed tummy tucks and butt lifts. It's just that like it became a thing and people just started. Even now, you have people who would you never even think that wouldn't even need it, just doing it. Now it's
Here-
just it's
Here's the insane part about that. Here's the insane part about that in
and
particular.
then they're rolling it back.
If you I tell people, I'm like, hey man, if you want to do that to your body, do your thing. I don't what that got to do with me. But if I say, well, that's not for me, I don't personally like that, I'm the bad guy now. Isn't that insane that I can't even say I don't like something? Like, that's like saying, like, hey, I don't like macaroni and cheese. What? Cancel. Bro,
But
what?
people do that. But that's what people do. And I'm like, they're
I
like,
don't
you
like
gotta
macaroni and cheese
choose
because I'm
one:
lactose
mac and cheese,
intolerant.
jams, collard
I'm like,
greens, turkey.
I'm,
I'm like,
I'm
boy, what?
lactose intolerant. I can't eat it. Like, and you can't, like, you understand the logic in that, bro? It's
Yep.
like it's like you can't even have a preference now. It's like that's where we're going in society. It was like you can't even have a prep. No, no, what? No, you have to be over here. If you're not over here, you're not anywhere. Just kill yourself.
Like you that even happens with like just infidelity. It happens with sports. It happens with medical. It happens with almost anything. People like to put what they feel and their opinion ahead of like any information that they could possibly look up.
We
And you
care
just
too
forget.
much. We care too much. I cannot reiterate the fact that we care too much about other people's lives. Way too much.
Yeah.
This a little bit too much.
Like, and also we
I can
see too
understand
much.
injustices. I can understand like things that are like, detrimental to humankind and to the way of living. That's a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing something menacing, if you're doing something evil or something, that is causing people harm or discomfort or making them feel belittled, that's a different situation. But I do think that we care a little bit too much about what people's preferences are, about how people choose to live their lives. I'm like, bro, listen, if somebody wants to have 100 wives, let them have 100 wives. I don't care, bro. Let them go over there and have 100 wives. I don't care about what they want to do. Like, I don't. Like, that does not affect, unless those 100 wives start saying, hey, we're forced to be here, then I'm gonna give a shit. But if they're not saying that, then let them do what they want to do, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't I'm not going to allow my life to be dictated by how someone else lives theirs. And that's the point. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop allowing our lives to be dictated by what we're seeing other people live.
Yeah. Like, I remember American Psycho.
Yeah.
Like, even back then, it just shifted from you can, and mind you, that was like high level. Like, that man was constantly,
I actually watched
States
that
was
like 2 months ago.
yeah, he huh? Yeah, he was
I, wa-
constantly like just in a constant competition. All of them were to the
Yeah.
point where like they barely even knew who each other were, bro. Like
Right.
they kept using different names, like because they got so, and that's what's happening now on social media. People are becoming generic to the
Hmm.
point where like people are legitimately saying they're different by doing the same things. And like that's the thing that's never gonna stop. People always gonna say they're different by doing the same thing that
That's
someone else
I mean,
is
honest with
doing.
you, that has been killing me, especially in music. They be like, "Oh, this, this sounds different." I'm like, "Bro, this is the same shit.
No, it
This
don't.
It's just a different tone of voice. This is really the same shit." I don't understand like how people can really sit here and think in this time now that anyone is actually doing anything that hasn't technically been done before.
Exactly.
I mean,
I tell people that.
Quincy Jones said it in the most brilliant way. He said, "At this point now, we're just figuring out ways to take things that were already done before and maybe putting a spin on it." Like that's about all we're doing now. We're not really doing any because he said at this point now it's like are you gonna unless you're making new chords.
Right. And
I
like
don't
unless
really
you're
see how
inventing
you
new way,
unless you're inventing new sounds or inventing new chords. I don't really see how this hasn't been done before. It has in some capacity. It has. So this like, oh my God, I created it. And you're like, yeah, you didn't create shit. You figured out a way to incorporate a twist, a new way to look at it. Oh, this, I'm gonna take shit, cause I know I do it. I'm gonna take something that's over here, and put them together. And it's gonna be something that sounds interesting.
right.
But the reality is it's comprised of something from over here and something from over here. And these two things were already invented. They were already invented, right? And like if you bring it together, yes, it creates something new, but it also has the essence of those things that were used in the first place. It's like, oh, you wanna take a 70s type of record and add a whole um trap beat to it. Yeah, but it's still a 70s record with a trap beat. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like, oh, this is a new sound. It's just a 70s record with a trap beat. That's all it is. Like that's all it is. It's like I just gave you a different way to look at it. I didn't give you new ingredients. That's making something new, giving you new
Right.
ingredients,
This ain't Iron Man 2.
right? You know what I mean? Like coming up with like a whole new element
We ain't do that.
that we ain't do that. We not doing that. You know what I mean? Like so that like I said, that entitlement, that like ego, I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where
There's a lot of ego, a lot of
that
bravado.
mindset
Like
come from. But the fact that everybody feels that everybody's opinion is God. Everybody feels that their opinion is like the end all be all of opinions. Here, drop the mic, boom. Like, bro, they're gonna pick that mic up. Like, it's
I'm like
like,
you gonna start meeting intelligent people and you're gonna start feeling real
yeah,
stupid. That's the thing. A lot
yeah,
of people, you're gonna start meeting people like myself, like other people that I know, and they're gonna challenge you about the stuff that you're saying. And
yeah.
people do this. People try it all the time online, bro. They try it
And,
all the
and
time
and
with
for
me.
me,
They come at me. I make a video back. They delete their comments. I'm
you
like,
know,
yeah, like I'm not coming with hate. I'm coming with information and love,
yeah,
trying to spread some awareness. And I don't know what you thought, but you don't know me. So let's get
right.
introduced real quick.
For me, if someone has a rebuttal to what I'm saying, I'm like, am I going to get into a back and forth with you? Probably not.
No,
I'm probably not going to do that. You can say what you want to say. It's the free world, free country. You can say what you want to say. Do I have to engage with you? I don't, you know, unless I want to. Unless I feel like you were like, if I feel like what you're saying is like, oh, maybe I never thought about that. Hmm. You maybe give me a new perspective to think about and being
people
open to
not
that.
even used to that.
Because I'm super open to hearing people out. I
People aren't
never
used to
like
that.
I never belittle anyone's thought process. I want to hear why you think the way you think. And then in that, I can determine, oh, you're either out of your goddamn mind or you're like, oh, okay, I can see how you got there. I can see how you got to that point.
People are
But
so ready.
to just be ready, just to be ready to say whatever you gotta say is bullshit. It's like, damn. And like, I know one thing about Twitter in particular. It's like if somebody tweets you back, I think that everybody automatically assumes that it's like unless they try their best to make it sound positive, they automatically assume it's a negative.
Hmm.
Like, and they automatically assume you're yelling it. It's like, like the text message when you text
That
somebody
happened on
back.
Family Guy. I didn't even
And
realize that happened on Family Guy with Stewie.
right,
He tweeted at his favorite artist, but she thought it was an insult, and she like
right,
got his entire life ruined. And
right,
she forgot about it by the time Stewie got back there, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of really didn't really remember all of that." And he's
right,
like, "You ruined my life," like, and like, but that
right.
happens.
That happens. And it's like you look at that like, damn, like there's just way too much hostility, man. I don't know. People gotta calm down, man. People
Like
gotta
people really be
chill
like
pill.
in their bedrooms, like tweeting out like a visceral stuff at people, and you be like, "Bro, you would not say that in public. You would not say that. You wouldn't even type. You wouldn't even type that into a keyboard." You wouldn't even type that into a real keyboard like the one in front
Yeah.
of me. You would keep that on your phone. You probably said it to a voice memo, bro. You ain't say that. You don't believe
Listen,
that. And
I've got I for the most part, like I get mostly I don't really get negative messages like that or comments. I do get them. It's just they're not the I tell people all the time, they're not the majority. They're never the majority. But mentally people focus on the negative. It's like you can see one negative and you'll focus on that. You'll ignore the other majority positive
social
stuff
media has amplified
and
that too.
focus on the negative. And social media, like you said, social media promotes the negative, promotes the thing that's like looked at as a bad thing that we make fun of, than more so the positive good thing. That's just
Also, like
that's how it
before,
goes.
back in the day, if you were sad, you would listen to sad music. Nowadays, when you sad, you can go find like entire sad videos and sad channels and like people saying speeches that are sad and seeing some movies put under like sad songs. And you be like, why would you want to destroy yourself emotionally like that? I don't know. But I get the like I'm a big aesthetic guy. I get it. I understand, like how cool and daunting and haunting it might feel to put like a certain speech over like some rain sounds and a pause so hard. Like, I understand the gravity of like that kind of video.
Right.
But to other people who ain't ready to see that, you might take them out of here. You might be the nail in a coffin. You might not understand that what you're doing is not making art. You're influencing somebody to do something that you're kind of insinuating with this video because there's no bright side to it. And that
Right.
happens sometimes with a lot of the newer music, right? Think about the music that a lot of the kids are making now. Like a lot of it is like sing song sad rap. And it's like
This is not to
very
me.
much
To me, there's nothing wrong with that.
nothing wrong with it. It's
I,
just look at how many we already lost. Look at how
I
many of
just,
them are not alive right now because
I,
the music didn't help them deal with their stuff. They put it
right.
out and it kept moving. And so
Well,
it like again it manufactured it. But they
well, here's the thing. I don't know if it's necessarily the music didn't help. I wouldn't say that per se. I think the music did help in some sense. I think it's more so a thing where here's the problem with if you're gonna talk music. Here's the problem. When you make music and it's so good and it resonates with people, you know what happens? People want you to stay there.
right. They want you to keep making that
They
music.
want you to keep making that. They don't want you to make anything else outside of that.
They don't
And
want you to have a good day, bro.
and Future said this. Future said this. And I was like, if
Oh God, if
Future's
Future said it.
Future's actually wise. People don't sleep on him. He's a
You
wise guy.
said
He's wise, very wise.
you said wise?
Future's
Like
wise.
an owl?
Yes.
You could have said he's smart or insightful.
Future's in so much pain as an artist that, but and he said this. He said, my what I talk about in my music is real life. I have to live my life this way. I can't move myself out of this. Because someone asked him, have you ever felt like you wanted to not live a toxic life? He said, I can't. I have to, or my music won't be real. And I was like,
That's so
and I'm
backwards and
like,
it's so sad.
I was like, that's so sad that but he understands. It's like if I want to continue to be successful, I have to live my life this way at the detriment of myself, and that is the problem with society.
Eminem might have to do that.
There's a level to that I don't think people even understand. The idea that people don't even allow people the grace to grow.
Nope.
Once you do something or make a mistake, they continuously see you there and never want to see you anywhere else. And that translates even into music. Once you make something and it's like, oh my God, it resonates, you got to stay there. Don't, what, happy? We don't want to hear that. Go back to, We did how many artists we did this with? We did this with mad artists. Listen,
Hmm.
I hate to use him as an example because I'm not gonna lie, the album was pretty bad. But Chance the Rapper.
Oh,
Chance the Rapper, when he made Acid Rap, everybody loved it. Everybody, it was the most hailed. The moment he decides to go, he even stopped saying the word. He stopped calling women bitches. He stopped like using drugs heavily. He stopped doing all that stuff. And he said, I want to make an album about loving my wife. A positive thing. Man, people threw him under the bus so crazy for
mm.
that. Shitted on his wife, shitted on him. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I get it. You didn't like the album, but like, really?
You ain't have to say that.
Like, that's the reaction. It's like nobody want to hear you talking about your wife, but come on, man. He's married now. So what, you saying that he has to stay on acid in order for you to like him? It's like, come on, man. Like that, you don't think that's a little bit dangerous to be telling an artist that? Someone that's
Telling
super
anybody that.
emotive, anybody, someone that's super emotive is like, hey, you can't grow past this moment. I like you from here, so don't grow past this moment. Stay there. It's like,
Mm.
come on, man. Like, it's not realistic, you know? So I don't know. I I think that the social media glorifies that. Social media glorifies people staying in pain. We actually relish in people's pain. We
Yeah.
relish in it's entertainment to us watching people go through suffering, go through, it entertains the world. And there is no grace or empathy with people to understand that, allow people to grow out of that, allow people to be able to uplift them out of it. You know what I'm saying? If you've been through it, then you should know better than anybody. Like, hey, like, you don't want to stay there,
Exactly.
or you don't want to find a coping mechanism in that space. That don't help you either. That is leads to your demise at some point in time. And then we make them legends. You're like, oh, you a legend for that. And it's like,
Like you were so
you, you
depressed.
know, you
We
know
want to
why,
idolize you for the rest of your life for that.
I love Kid Cudi. I love Kid Cudi because Kid Cudi always spoke from a place of like, hey, I'm trying to teach you not to go down this path with me. Like, and he's always, even his last album, he was like, I am trying to move out of this space.
Right.
I'm reaching for that. Reach with me. And that's why I love Cudi. Cudi talked about the darkness, but he never like glorified it. He never was like, yo, this is where I need to stay. He was always like, I want to move past this. And I think that is how we should be as a society. How do we continue to elevate ourselves? How do we continue to push ourselves forward? Not drag each other down, not destroy each other. But that's just human nature. That's a whole different kind of conversation. We've been
Yeah.
talking about this for a while, but the episode kind of turned into this, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really appreciate you guys listening to this. We've been kind of talking for a while about this, but we're probably gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah.
But I hope that this episode really hurt, touch somebody. This is a good episode to wrap the year up with. Actually, I actually like that we actually ended on this episode for the year. Um, but we're gonna be coming back with more episodes next year, in January. So stay tuned. We're not going anywhere, guys. So we're not no long hiatus anymore.
If you're
Um,
listening, please subscribe on the
yes,
platform you're listening on. I keep having this conversation with people where I have to keep literally sending them every episode. We just had this conversation. We just had this conversation. So
yeah,
please hit subscribe. So when this episode comes out and you're listening, it's not because I sent it to you. It's because your feed told you, as if like, you didn't know us.
right,
You know, go on
right,
Facebook. We on Facebook. Go on Twitter. We are on Twitter. Go on TikTok. We are on TikTok. You can find us
yes.
individually. You can find us collectively. We have stuff. There are
And give
things
it,
out
and
there.
if there's something that you want to talk about, let us know. We definitely open to talking about it. So
Yeah, like
for
I
sure, let
we
us
tell
know.
people like we had a
We're
lot
gonna,
of suggestions season one, and that's why we got the bonus episodes last time.
yeah.
So
We're gonna
yeah,
start
like
having guests soon, so that's gonna be pretty fun. So just
mm-hmm.
yeah, please, like stay in tune,
And
subscribe, make sure you follow us on the platforms if you loving this content. And like I said, hope it helps. I hope you guys love it, and that's it. Peace, guys. Have a great day.